If busyness, having a hectic schedule, working long hours, and sacrifice was the key to success, I would be wealthier than Richard Branson, Tony Hawk, and Donald Trump. Because I know I work longer hours. I know I take fewer vacations. I know I play less golf. I know I frolic on the beach less. I know that I spend less time with my kids, my friends, and my family than these three guys. And in a world of 24/7, 365, these guys are creating far more results than I am. They are having far greater impact in the world than I am. And beyond it all, they are enjoying the fruits of non-work enjoyment far more than I am. And it pisses me off. And the only person I can be pissed off at is me. Because we all started about the same. As a matter of fact, a couple of these guys started before the starting line for me. And yet, after just about the same amount of time on the planet, they are kicking my ass. And I've been on a search to try to figure out why that is. And I think I finally figured it out. If you read The Compound Effect, you know that I was raised by a university football coach, single father. And the way that you got love in our house was to achieve. If you did good in school, you got to go to the ice cream parlor to celebrate. If you didn't, you had to stay home. If you hit a home run that day, you got to go celebrate and have pizza. If you collected a bunch of strikeouts, it was a lonely, quiet car ride straight home. And so, I think because of this upbringing, I have become what I call an achievement addict. Some people call it an overachiever. And I've been an overachiever now all my life. And the one thing that I am discovering is that there is a giant difference between being an overachiever and being a superachiever. Now, they kind of sound the same, but they're worlds apart. Or let me just say islands apart. Because Richard has an island and I do not. And I'm going to suggest to you that all of you work really hard. Long hours, lots of sacrifices, incredibly busy, have hectic schedules. But those three guys are probably kicking your ass too. And I want to show you what they're doing differently than the rest of us so that you can start getting a semblance of the kind of results they're getting. Now, as we go through this information, I want to bring to you the quote by Samuel Johnson that says, "Oftentimes we need to be reminded more than we need to be instructed." And so, as you hear some of these principles, I don't want you to say, "Oh, I already know that." I want you to ask, am I doing that? Because it's very different. And are the results showing up in your business, in your bank account, on your waistline, and in your marriage? And if any of those metrics don't necessarily match up with your knowledge, then maybe there's still something to learn. Or maybe there's something to be reminded of and bring it back to the forefront. One of the unique skills I think I have, we're always asked to find your strengths. Mine, I think, is taking complicated information, because we're surrounded, deluged with information, idea galore, shiny objects all around us. And to try to simplify it down to the few things that matter the most, that if you just isolate your focus to those few things, it could have a profound impact on your results. And so that's what I want to do, is to try to, you've gathered all sorts of information here. The biggest challenge to events like this is now you have idea-itis. There's just, you're overwhelmed by the amount of new thoughts and ideas that you have. And so I want to try to reduce it down to the few things that could matter the most, that when you go back to your businesses, back to your lives, could have the big difference-making effect in your results. So there's three distinctions between being an overachiever and being a superachiever. Here's the first one. Distinction number one. It's not what you do. Your activities, your functions, what you do day in and day out, has less to do with the outcomes that superachievers produce versus what they don't do. I know that sounds simple, but this is profound. It's not what you do. that matters the most. It's all the things that you choose not to do. Let me give you an example. See, yes is easy. Yes to the appointment, yes to the meeting, yes to the conference call, yes to the new idea, yes to the new feature, yes to adding complexity. Yes is easy. There's no trouble with yes. The master skill is no. Because every time you say yes to something, you're actually at the same time saying no to something else. Because if I said what you need to do to be more successful is to work longer and work harder, you would say, that's impossible. I can't work any longer, I can't work any harder. So when you say yes to something, you are trading a no for something else. And that might be the more important priority or project, the thing that's going to get you the greater results. I'll quantify this by some people that you probably should listen to. Here is Warren Buffett. When he was asked what's his number one key to success, he goes to these investor conferences where he's asked, reporters are asked, he's always asked, what is the number one key to success? And he finally just had to figure out one thing that he said every time. So wouldn't it be interesting to know what the one thing Warren Buffett says is the key to his success? Here's what it is. He said, for every 100 great opportunities that are brought to me, I say no 99 times. That's his number one key to success. It's not what he says yes to, but all the things he says no that allowed him to isolate his attention to the yeses. Here's what Steve Jobs, who has now created apparently the most valuable brand in the world, when he was asked what is the thing he is most proud of what Apple has created, here's what his answer was. I am as proud of what we don't do as I am of what we do. Isn't that interesting? That it was all the things he said no to that allowed him to be excellent at the things that they did do. Kenneth Cole was a cover of Success magazine, and this was a quote that came out of our time with Kenneth. He said, success has less to do with what we can get ourselves to do and more to do with keeping ourselves from doing what we shouldn't.